Hi, my name is Mo, and this year I thought it would be fun to make these little fabric Christmas trees. I'm currently in lockdown in Austria, and I don't have much sewing equipment here, but I have managed to get some fabric from Amazon, sent over, Christmas fabric, but in fact, you can use any kind of fabric to make these little trees. They are such fun, and you can finish them off with a little button at the top. And they are so easy to make. What you will need, as I said, is some fabric. I think I said I ordered this from Amazon. I think it cost me about £10 for a good wad of fabric, of Christmas fabric. But as I said, you can use any fabric. You will also need some twine to hang your little trees from, scissors, a pair of secateurs, and that is because you will probably need, you can go out into the garden and cut these little twigs from the tree. They're about, I think these are about 4 inches long. Or you could use straw. I bought a pack of straws down at the supermarket. You could use lollipop sticks. So, I mean, you know, it's whatever you have in the house, which is quite fun about this fabric, about this little fabric Christmas tree. What I did then, and the other thing that you can use is I bought some ribbon. I didn't try and make a fabric tree, but this was the only ribbon I could get down at the in our village, and as we are in lockdown at the moment, I haven't sort of been able to go out and about to get other ribbon. So I did try. I did try and make a Christmas tree, but it wasn't very good. So you can see that was a flop. But I'm sure you can try it if you've got other ribbon at home. I did have a little bit of ribbon here, which was, this ribbon is probably a bit too thick. I also, what I did with my fabric was to tear them into strips, and I think that gives it a lovely rustic effect rather than being too precise with your fabric. So it's quite fun actually. If you just snip your fabric here about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, half an inch, snip it and then rip. It's such a lovely feeling. That is probably a bit too long, but the fun with this project is that you can decide. So I just folded this in half and cut the fabric. So all you do is you take your piece of fabric, tie it around the twig like that. The one video that I watched, they said they did a double knot at the back. So on some of them I've done a double knot, and others I haven't. But anyway, let's try a double knot. That's probably secure. And then take a contrasting fabric, or you can take any kind of, you can do what you want really. That's the fun of it, as I said before. And you tie it at the back like that, and I'll take a piece of fabric here and I'll just to give us some color. And that's all you do until your twig is has enough fabric on it. So as you can see, I've completed my twig. That's what it looks like when you've got all your fabric. That's the top, that's the bottom. All my knots are facing to one way, and then that would be the front. There we are. My advice is, if you want to make this as a Christmas decoration, I wouldn't make your twig too long. As I said, about 3 inches, 4 inches, sorry, is probably good enough. Now, as I said, I'm in Austria, so I don't have many things here, but what I'll do first is, what you do is you take your scissors. I'll point the camera down again, and that's the bottom and that's the top. You take your scissors and you cut it at an angle so that it's so there is a bit of wastage of fabric, but if you're using old fabric, so that's, you can see it sort of gives you the shape of a Christmas tree. And then you do it on the other side, and then you might, once you've finished, you might have to it can be a bit uneven, so you might have to sort of trim it a bit so that it looks a bit it looks more even. So it's, I quite like it because it's quite rustic and simple, and I think if you had quite a lot of these on a Christmas tree, it could look quite effective. So you can, if I made these little Dorset buttons, so you could sort of, if you've got buttons at home or stars or something like that, you could put it at the top of your tree. You could possibly, oh, I'm just looking at, yeah, it's still a bit uneven, never mind. There we are. I was just trying to think that you could put ribbon in between these. You can do, there's all kinds of things. And personally, you don't have to use Christmas fabric. I've got some ordinary fabric interspersed with the Christmas fabric. So then all you have to do at the end is take some twine. Once you've put your button on, you could probably glue it on, or maybe sew it on with a cotton and needle around the twig. Then you take your twine and, sorry, it's out of sight, but there's the twine, and just tie it like that. I'm sure you'll probably find a better method of tying it than myself. And it's all ready to hang on the Christmas tree. It does, as I say, you do have to play around with your fabric and perhaps trim it a bit, but it doesn't really matter if it's uneven. It's sort of, I think it will look quite charming on a Christmas tree. So I am an amateur at this. I've never filmed myself making things before, so I'm sorry if this is a bit hodgepodge, but I'd like to take this opportunity of wishing all of you who have watched this a very happy and blessed Christmas. And let's hope that 2021 is going to be, or will prove to be, COVID free. Take care. Bye. Greetings. Sharon has asked me to say a few words as to why Christmas is important to me. I grew up in the Southern Hemisphere, in Cape Town. My early memories of Christmas were of decorating the Christmas trees with blobs of cotton wool to make it look like snow. On Christmas Eve, as children, we used to leave a pillowcase at the end of the bed. Then, waking up the next morning filled with anticipation to see it bulging with presents. If I remember correctly, we were allowed to open one present before church. The rest was saved for later. Our family celebrated Christmas in the English tradition. Turkey, ham, mince pies, all the trimmings, as well as a steamed Christmas pudding, despite the usually very hot weather. I suspect that not having lived in Cape Town for over 30 years, things have probably changed, and they are now more likely to have a barbecue on the beach. Since being married to Reg, due to his work, and now with our son and daughter living on either side of the world, we have had the privilege of celebrating Christmas in a few different countries in both southern and northern hemisphere. South Africa, Botswana, Australia, Cayman Islands, Poland, Austria, and of course England. Each country has their own traditions, but Poland is probably my least favourite, as their Christmas meal consists of 12 courses of fish, carp and herring. Not my idea of a Christmas meal. One of my favourite features of Christmas in Austria is the simple carved wooden nativity scene, prominent in every town and village. As we are in the Austrian Alps, we do tend to have snow at Christmas, very much chocolate box scenery. As a family, one of our more memorable Christmas days was soon after we returned to the UK after a spell of living in Botswana. As we had no family around, we helped out at a care home in Guildford. To this day, Tim, our son, and our daughter Emily both say that was one of the best Christmas days they have had, helping others. Our family is now spread far and wide. Tim and his family live in Arnhem Land in the north of Australia, where he is a pilot with Mission Aviation Fellowship. Our daughter Emily and her family live on Grand Cayman, where she is a music teacher. So, for Reg and myself, Christmas tends to be a quiet affair with just ourselves and my parents. Personally, I appreciate the lack of busyness that can be associated with Christmas. However, I do hope to play Christmas again with the family someday. What makes Christmas special and important to me? Well, I take you back to those carved nativity scenes displaying a baby who was born in a stable. His name is Jesus. The simplicity of that scene. Yet, over 2,000 years later, his birth is still being celebrated around the world. As I record, England is back in another lockdown, as we are here in Austria. Reading some of the news headlines, it would seem that some people are up in arms that Christmas might be cancelled. I say this with great humbleness and not wanting to dismiss the importance of family gatherings, the excitement of children opening presents, and all the festivities that make Christmas fun. But I suggest that one takes a step back to reflect on that simple, lovely nativity scene and the message that it gives to us. Read the story. You can read it in the Gospel of Luke, in the Bible. It could prove life-changing. For me, it is that message that makes Christmas so special.